The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
You know, one of the great Chassidish Rebbes was Mendel Varker. And from that tzaddik, Mendel Varker, came a number of streams, Bati Medrash and Chetzeres of Tzaddikim. Probably the most famous one would be Amshinov. It comes from the Varker. But one of the lesser-known streams of Tzaddikim that comes from that world of Varker and Amshinov is Skarevich. So there's a mice that goes about Reb David Skarevich. He's from about 150 years ago or so. They were known, that tzaddik in particular was known for his Avos Yisrael. And so the mice goes like this. Reb David was sitting in his home one night, and there's a bang on the door. Okay, what is it? So he goes to the door, and he sees that it's Reb Moshe, one of his chassidim. And so he says, Reb Moshe, come in. Reb Moshe comes in, and Reb Moshe sits down, across the table from Reb David. He just begins to mamish sob and cry like a baby. And so Reb David says, "And what's wrong?" So he says, "It's my daughter." He says, "It's my daughter. One thing led to another. She fell into a negative crowd, and she fell for this guy. She fell in love with him. She claims, and they're running off together. So Reb David says, "Okay, that's not so good." Reb Moshe says, "But that's not the worst of it. He's not Jewish. He's a guy. And not just he's a guy. He's an extremely devout Christian. And my daughter ran away with him, and they ran to a convent or something, and she's in the process of converting. She's lo aleinu, she's going to convert to Christianity, and that's the end of her. What am I going to do, Rabbi? I need help." So Rabbi David begins to ask questions and to try to find out exactly what happened and where she is and so on and so forth. And after investigating and getting enough information to clarify the situation as much as possible, so Rabbi David says to his chassid Moshe, he says, "Listen, Moshe, I'm going to do the best I can. And Bez Hashem, with God's help, we should be matzliach." So that night, without wasting any time, Rabbi David takes his gabbai, and then he says, with his gabbai, we're going to go to the monastery, the convent that this Nebuch, this girl, Rivka, let's call her, she's held up in this convent, and she's going through the process of conversion. I guess there's a few classes that I guess they have to go through in order to learn enough about that Avodah Zarah to convert. And she's going through these classes in this monastery, in this convent. And so he says to his Gabbai, we're going to try to rescue the girl. Okay? The Gabbai doesn't know exactly what the Rebbe has in mind, but they go. And so the Rebbe says to the Gabbai, as we get into the wagon, bring 2 chairs. Okay, fine. So that's what the Gabbai does. He takes 2 chairs from the dining room, whatever it is. He loads it on the wagon, and they travel to this monastery. So they get to the monastery. It's the middle of the night. And the Rebbe says to the Gabbai, "Okay, let's go. Bring the 2 chairs with you." Okay, fine. So he takes the two chairs, and Reb David sets up the 2 chairs just in the middle, not in the convent itself, but in the middle of the courtyard of the convent, just setting that up. And the Rebbe sits down, and he says, "Okay, shine." He takes out a sefer, and he's learning. So the Gabbai's, "Okay, fine. I guess the other chair is for the Gabbai." So the Gabbai sits down too. And they're sitting like this for a long time. Again, it's the middle of the night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Eventually the morning comes, sunrise comes, and the Rebbe took his talis and tefillin, and so he begins to daven. And the Gabbai is not sure what's going on over here. They're just sitting in the courtyard of the monastery. And slowly but surely people start coming, priests, nuns, whatever is going on over there, and they start coming to, for whatever they're doing during that day. And they're noticing 2 Jews just sitting there in the courtyard. And this itself was a miracle, the fact that no one said anything to them, especially to 2 Jews, and one is a Rebbe that clearly looks very religious and devout. This was not a safe place for a Jew to be at that time. And a maifis takes place, and no one says anything. Fine, so they're sitting there. A few hours go by, and Rabbi David notices that there is a guy, a non-Jewish person, that's working like a gardener or something, that's tending to the courtyard. And so Rabbi David turns to this guy, and he says, "Excuse me, sir, do you happen to know about a Jewish girl that's staying in this place?" And so the gardener says, "It happens to be, I do know, it's the talk of the monastery. Everyone's talking about this catch that they have, which is the Metzia, Nabuch, of a Jewish girl that's decided to convert." And so Rodolfo says, "Okay, fine, so maybe you could do me a favor. I'm going to write down on a piece of paper a note, if you can pass it to the girl." And, in the paper, he puts a few dollars, to give to the guy. And the guy sees the money. He says, 100% Rabbi, I'll do whatever you want. So Reb Davidel takes a piece of paper and writes down the following message. This is Reb Davidel. This is, she knew who Reb Davidel was, the Rebbe of her father. And I'm waiting outside for you. That's all. That's what the note says. He writes that down, folds a piece of paper, some money, gives it to the gardener. The gardener finds his way inside. Fine, hopefully, assuming delivers the note. Fine, the Rebbe sits back down. 1 day goes, 2 days go, 3 days, 3 days and 3 nights, no message back from the girl, and Reb Davidel is not moving from his space. Meanwhile, back and forth, the Gabbai is traveling back and forth to bring some food and water and so on from a kosher source, but the Rebbe is not moving. And after 1 day, 2 days, the Gabbai is saying, Rebbe, she's not coming out. She's not coming out. The Rebbe just ignores it. After 3 days and 3 nights, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden, they hear a huge noise, a huge shattering of glass. What's going on? And they look up and they see, and from one of the windows of the convent, the glass shatters. Someone broke the window, and this rope descends down. And it's Rivka. It's Rivka. She's climbing out of the convent, and she runs to the Rebbe. She says, Rebbe, I'm here. Let's go. Okay? So they start running. This is not a simple thing just to escape from a convent in those days. So maybe it's true now. I have no idea. But they're running out, and they're just running as far as they possibly can. Eventually they get to a certain location in the woods where they can sort of catch their breaths. And they sit down. They're catching their breaths. And so the Rebbe is just happy to see Rivka. The Gabbai's there too. And the Gabbai turns to the girl and he says like this, Rivka, you were in there for 3 days. What made you change your mind? What made you change your mind? And so Rivka said, she turned to the Gabbai and she said, I'll tell you the truth, what made me change my mind. The issues that I have with my family and Yiddishkeit, that wasn't changed. Nothing changed. But what changes is the following thing. I knew, once I got that letter, I knew that the Rebbe is not leaving until I come. And the Rebbe would stay in the courtyard for years, if it takes. He's not leaving until I come. And so after 3 days, I thought to myself, it's Rachmanis on the Rebbe. I can't have him sit like this anymore. I have no choice but to leave. That's the Maisa. No. Such a thing like that. Every single one of us, listen, Baruch Hashem, we shouldn't be stuck in convents like this. But everyone has their gullus. Everyone has their place that they're stuck in, But to have tzaddikim and tzidkanias, to have a Rebbe or a Rebbitzin or a Meir, someone that you look up to, that in your heart of hearts that person's not leaving the courtyard until you escape, that itself saves a person's life. That itself saves a person's life. And that's what a tzaddik is. A tzaddik is someone that they're not leaving until you leave. They're not leaving unless you're free. That's what a tzaddik is. Hashem should bless us to be zeicha to have tzaddikim like that, to have people in our lives that we can trust that no matter what we're going through, they're dedicated to us and they're not leaving until we're helped. And that's how the Rebbe Shalom wants the tzaddikim to live, and that's the Rebbe Shalom is for us also. The Rebbe Shalom is also, the Rebbe Shalom Kiviyachol is sitting on a chair in the courtyard of the convents that we're stuck in. And we should also believe the Rebbe Shalom is not leaving until we leave. And that itself should give us the inspiration and the strength to break through the window and to escape with the Rebbe Shalom. Anoiche elcha gam aloi, like the pasuk says in Parshas Vayechi, at the end of Parshas V'yigash already, that the Rebbe Shalom says to Yaakov Avinu, you're going to Mitzrayim, I'm going with you, and I'm only leaving when you come with me as well. And that's the Rebbe Shalom, that's what a tzaddik is. Hashem should bless us, that we should be zeicha to have tzaddikim like that, to have his chaskus that comes from that belief that the Rebbe Shalom is with us and he's not leaving until we come out of Galus with him. We should be zeich to experience a lichte gevach, a mazda gevach, a simchete gevach, a bias kol tzedek, b'meher v'yimeinu amen.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org